Oh, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another beautiful week in Florida. You've been watching that little yellow house behind me travel all over this fair country for about 5 years now. We have been sitting still in Jacksonville for a little while, hanging out with some family, seeing a lot of the beautiful stuff that this state has to offer, and letting Shane work on a new project. He's been working.
Come in and check it out.
On this retired Red Cross emergency response vehicle for several weeks now and is making some really cool progress.
I've done a lot of innovation in this thing. So we have the heart of this whole thing, and it's attached to a 1200 watt solar array on top of it. And then I've also been working on a bunch of cabinetry, and we still have a lot more left to do, Kelsey. But do you want to see what all this is?
I definitely want to see what all this is.
I'm working on a bed surface here, so you're going to be able to sleep here as well. But a lot of hinges have to be installed to make all that happen.
One of 3 beds in this rig, right?
That's the end goal. So here you have the toilet.
A very fancy toilet. We'll tell you a little bit more about that later.
Behind the toilet, you have the shower.
Whoa.
And then this folds out. This slides out. No bracing underneath for an extension. And then this table folds down with a foldable leaf. We still got more to build, Kelsey.
Very, very cool. What about that other corner?
What other corner? Oh, it does a lot of tricks, but it doesn't come on yet, Kelsey. We're nearing turning this thing on. There is 600 amp hours of batteries in here, though, as well as a litany of other ways to charge those batteries outside of the huge solar array. Quite the illustrious system.
It's going to grow a lot this week, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to get a whole lot prettier in here.
Alright, so the next step in our progression with this here design is we have to form a kitchen. And obviously we're running low on space. Now this thing is shaped quite interestingly because I'm working on some height numbers. So right now this is where our counter would have to rest in order for our lowering bed to be at the desired height. Now we have to see if we can somehow fit a sink and a 2 to 3 burner stove, as well as an air fryer somewhere in this space here, and none of that can be occupied by any of this space when the bed is in sleeping mode. Let's see if we can make a little more innovation. All right. Look at this unsightly monster. Now, I have just put a couple screws in each stick, representing where I will actually have support. And some of it's kind of crooked, but this is how I get the shape of my cabinets. And then I build it all strong and square to fill it in. Obviously, I'm not cutting things to fit, so they're misshapen as well. But it does allow me to see a vision and make sure it's where I want to go before I start cutting up all my plywood, because, you know, that stuff's expensive. I think this is going to be about the end of my building for the day, though. We'll see if we can come up with some answers to questions tonight and build some more tomorrow. I still got to get a couch on this side, too. And stuff here. Oh, boy. Well, good morning, y'all. While Kelsey's off on her little adventure, I'm embarking on my own. I'm gonna try to start preparing this thing to look like a shower. Let's see if we can get these walls out of here first. This is gonna go just like I planned.
Meanwhile, guys, I'm at the beach. We have managed to make our way to Anastasia State Park. I'm checking out the Ancient Dunes Trail. This should be fun. Oh, this state has some beautiful trees.
My first step is bonding this box to this piece of plywood, and I'm utilizing obviously a whole lot of wood glue. We'll let this sit first and then do some more.
It's way up there.
Y'all aren't coming up.
No, we'll watch from way down here. We'll be your safety net.
What are you gonna do if I fall?
Die. Die.
And here's the first panel. Now what's the next step is gluing this to the plywood. But I'm gonna try to get all the panels at one time so I can get them clamped together and out in the sun, because we have today and tomorrow before the weather turns again. And I really wanna get this accomplished. Let's keep going. And now we're on to the last step. Utilizing this adhesive, spreading it out almost like grout or like you would glue down flooring. And then I'm using pieces of waste that I removed that have this FRP on it already, so they're quite heavy. And I'm sandwiching my small pieces in between those, and that way all of my weight is compressed downwards. Just a couple more to go. Yo, I'm gonna say that constitutes the end of my day. Took quite a while to get all these panels glued and weighted. And now I'm out of sunshine. I guess I'm gonna go hide in that love hut until Kelsey comes back. I wonder when she's coming back. The sun has come out again today, and I've started working on the shower some more. So I went ahead and took advantage of this coming out and got every joint where every lap is met glued and it's setting. And I'm about to go look at the panels that I'm going to be installing in here and see if they're ready to hang or not, because I can't really move forward until I get them up. Well, as I came to check on everything, I'm not going to show it to you, but they are not bonded at all yet. It got too cold last night, so I'm gonna have to let the sun do its thing. Hurry up and wait, I guess. Well, the sun has been out all day. It had a lot to catch up on with the temperature drop over the evening, so unfortunately my FRP still is not quite bonded yet, so I'm left having to let it continue sitting in the sun until the sun's gone away. And then I've got to tarp it up, because we got a big storm headed our way all day tomorrow. So we'll get back to it as soon as we can. Boy, I stayed inside that little yellow house for way too long. It was wet. Whew. It's still wet and cold this morning, but I'm out here moving around. We're gonna see what we can get done on this ambulance today. I've started bringing in pieces and examine them where I let this FRP glue bond the wood to the FRP. And it's been sitting for almost 3 days now. So far, so good. Let's see if we can get these things inside. So the first step to getting these FRP panels installed, because the way I'm doing them is I'm clamping them to a pre-cut piece of plywood. Now when you're installing them in commercial residential use, oftentimes you just stick it up on the wall where it goes. Or like this professional ambulance building company that built this one, they did something similar. They more than likely ordered these from the factory in whole sheets. I digress. My first step is I have to clean all the goop that has spilled over all the way around, which as you see is quite simple. And then I'm going to take my router and use this handy dandy little bit. And it's got a little wheel at the top of it, and that little wheel, as I spin the router, will ride along this piece of plywood and trim back this here FRP overlap. So we get a nice clean finish. Let's see what we can do. All right. So as I went through and I've routed all of my panels, they all turned out really well. But as with my experience with FRP, inevitably there's going to be at least one corner that doesn't bond too well. And with the prevailing weather that has happened while making this bond, it is completely understandable. So I have a couple corners on every piece actually that I'm waiting to cure. Unfortunately, that means more waiting time. Every step.
Meanwhile, guys, it's rough day. Actually, yesterday was, but it was cold and rainy, so I didn't want to get out and deal with this. I am super excited to see what's in here, though. This was round 4, so once we get all of this gray polish off of them, they will look about how they're going to. Oh my God, that's awesome.
Now my corners have set, so I've got to do something about this exposed plywood, particularly on the bottom of these walls where water is going to no doubt access it. So what I'm utilizing is some rubberizing spray, and I'll be coating the ends as well as the lower portion there of the backside to help with any water that may come down the wall and try to come back up under. I'm also going to be caulking everything with trim, so I don't really have any concern, but you know, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Good morning, y'all. It's a brisk one out here today, but nice and sunny. All of my shower walls are looking good, and it's time to get them in here. But first we have to work on the shower pan. So we still have to drill this one out. These come undrilled. I have a shower drain that is made for this inset here. And this is made by Rec Pro. So it's a very small shower pan. 27 inches, I believe, is the exact measurement. And I'm going to be drilling through this as well as the steel floor so that we have access for the drain to go underneath, which is where our holding tank is going to be. Let's get all this figured out before these walls come in. So here is an obstacle for y'all. The bottom floor of this vehicle is about a 1/2 inch thick diamond plate. That's really all it is, and it's sitting on a tubular frame underneath. Now this spot here goes in between the tube grid, which I'm very grateful for because that doesn't always happen in this mobile living world. But either way, we got to get a hole through this thing so the shower can have a drain access. Now, I don't generally cut through metal this big and this thick Usually the bottom of a school bus is much thinner, and these hole saws get me through. I'm gonna try my best with this, but I fear that I'm gonna end up having to use a grinder and cut a square hole. We'll see what we can get done. Oh, don't let me down, drill. Well, as you could see, that wasn't exactly a one-handed operation. I ended up using about 8 or 9 amps of batteries to get this hole through here. Now, there's 2 pieces actually. There's this diamond plate I'm standing on, and that's aluminum. And then there's an underpinning, if you will, that they built the skin of this box with before they brought these giant sheets of diamond plate in, and I had to cut through that as well. But we got ourselves a hole, y'all. Oh boy, I love when those big trucks show up. It's always something particular. And this particular thing is our bed lift. I've been waiting on this to get here for quite a while. Now I gotta figure out how to get it all the way back there to the ambulance. Ugh. So the shower that we're building, obviously because it's sliding back and forth, we have a corner that has to be created once it slides into place. And how I'm gonna be doing that is I've utilized some of the old metal shelving that was in this rig, and I cut it. It had a lip on each side, so I've cut me a nice little L bracket here. And what I'm going to be utilizing is this stuff. Now what this is weather stripping for a vehicle. As can be demonstrated right here. And it just slides over the lip. Now I'm going to be utilizing that and mounting it on the wall. So when our shower is opened, a piece of trim will be squishing against this, creating us a nice watertight corner here, which the bottom will be suspended over the shower pan. So any water that hits it runs down into the pan instead of back out into the wall. Let's see if we can get this attached. Florida, man. Florida strikes again. Well, I was able to get 2 of my walls up, as you can see back there. Well, kind of. I got the side one up and the top one up, and I noticed it was starting to separate. And as I moved this third wall, this whole thing just bloop. So that didn't bond. Fortunately, the weather is warming up this week, and I'm gonna re-glue all the shower walls and do it differently and sit them out in the sun. But unfortunately, that means you guys are definitely not gonna get to see this shower this week, and nor am I. Ugh. Sometimes it's a real challenge working outdoors. We'll get there though. We always do. Well, with such a letdown on the shower and being able to see it through to completion this week, I'm gonna at least start working on something I've been really excited about, and that is this Happy Jack bed. Now, there's really not much to these things. It's a pretty simple concept. So you have these chain driven, there's chains in there, pull this bracket, and they're tied together with a stick as they come from the factory, but you eventually put the metal framework on there. And there's a connecting rod that goes here and will go all the way across the top and connect to the other side, which looks identical to this. And there's one electric motor, and that causes the whole situation to go up and down. So all there is to installing it is screwing it to the wall in essence. Now fortunately, this thing is built like a tank, so I got a lot of aluminum back behind this wall to tie this thing to, because it needs to hold at least 600 pounds statically on each side. Boy, that's cool. Let's see how much we can get done before it gets too dark to see in here. Well, I got one hanging in place. Now the instruction says that you need 2 people to do this. I attempted it with 1, and I'm telling you, it's quite the struggle. For this other side, I'm going to end up hanging a little bit of a bracing up there to help me hang it on. Also, I've got to bring this wall out some, because as you can see, the window frame there is the outermost surface, and that does not work for my needs because one of those control arms is going to be right over the window, unfortunately. So that means I have to build out the rest of it so that it has something to anchor to that's not putting any tension on this metal ring, because tension caused that window to break, and we do not want that. So you know that means I'm going to have to end this week with heartbreak. We got nothing finished. We got chaos. Look at this place. It's a wreck. Next week's going to be a busy one. I've got to re-glue all of this FRP. I've got to get this bed installed. And I have a big pile of hinges and finishing that's coming so we can start bringing shape to the rest of the cabinets, which are going to be right where I'm standing. Make sure you come back next week. I promise it's going to be awesome. I do want to say thank you to each and every one of you that has watched this week, and the week before, and the week before, and the week before, and the week before. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Make sure you check out some of our other social media like Facebook and Instagram. You can direct message us on there, or you can send us an email at lovehutforlife@gmail.com. We'll see y'all then. Bye, y'all.